Grand Slam, AEW, how was it? What did you guys think? Let me know in the comment section right now before we get into the video and I change people's minds or in any way prime you to like or dislike something. Let me know in the comment section below. While you're doing that, I will say this. It's going to be very, very difficult from this point forward to get me to say negative things about Bryan Danielson. The man is a saint. All right. So unless he molests a child or murders somebody, he is a good man. That's the most important thing. He's not just a good wrestler. He is a good man, a good individual. Now, saying that, I don't think everything is perfect. But Bryan Danielson versus Kenny Omega was very damn good. It was very damn good. Now, there's some questions to be made. Putting it on first. The 30-minute time limit draw. Let's talk about those things before I even get into the match. The concept of putting it on first. Now, I did see, I watched the debate of people saying it should have not gone on first because it was the match everybody wanted to see. Build the anticipation throughout the night. That kind of thing, which is traditional pro wrestling. And then I saw some people say, well, because it's going to be a 30-minute time limit, you would have been given that away if you put it on last. So if you put it on at 9:30, then everybody would have known it's going to be a time limit draw. And in order to keep the surprise factor, you put it on first. Both very compelling arguments. Personally, I'm an old school guy. You put your main event on last. Even if people think it's going to be a disqualification. Even if people think it's going to be a count out. Even if people think they're going to get a messed up finish. You put your main event on last. You know, you put your big draw on last. Mike Tyson, even if you know, oh, he's going to knock this guy out in 2 minutes, you still don't put it on first. You just don't. There was no other match on this card that could have closed the show but this one. You know, now if you had a double main event, like sometimes which happens in like at WrestleMania or other big cards where you got like 2 gigantic matches that are going to take place, you might want to space them out by 2 hours. You know, put one at the beginning and one at the end. Okay, but this was essentially a one-match show. Not to say that there weren't any other stars on the show, but this was essentially a one-match show. Everybody who tuned in to see Bryan Danielson versus Kenny Omega. Full stop. Nobody was like, I'll wait for this match to be over. No, this was the first match. This is what everybody wanted to see. You build anticipation, right? Because what you did by putting it on first is you gave everybody who didn't give a shit about the rest of the card, you gave them an out. Now everybody's like, oh, this match is over. Change the channel. Now, will that actually happen? I don't know. I can't tell. But that's the thing, especially when there's no hook for them to continue watching the show. Even if they were to say CM Punk is going to be coming up next, which is what they did. They tried to hook people to watching the CM Punk promo. I got a lot to say about that. Could that have worked? Okay, so that gets you to 8:45. You still have another hour of show left. Right? And then you plopped MJF and Pillman in there. And that was the one match of the night where people were kind of like, you know, where people could have easily clicked and gotten out of this thing. If you really wanted to show off Britt Baker and MJF and all of them, you would have had people come in at 8 o'clock, watch them, and build anticipation for Omega and Danielson. Even if everybody knows it's going to be a 30-minute time limit draw. Even if that's going to be the case. I think that's the better way to do it. I think you put your top guys on last. I don't see any reason why you wouldn't. Oh, it's going to spoil the finish. I'm like, just about everybody with a functional brain knew it was going to be a time limit draw anyway. You know? I think a lot of people knew that. So, also the 30-minute time limit is weird. Because wasn't CM Punk and Darby Allin a 60-minute time limit? Why would that match be 60 minutes and this match be 30? I don't know. All right, so let's get into this match finally. Bryan Danielson versus Kenny Omega. The crowd was ape. Everything positive about this match was due to the crowd. The crowd gobbled this thing up. Every twitch, they were chanting. They were going along with it. That's good stuff. You know, yes, it's a crowd of people who are playing along. I know, but it still elevated this match very much to have these guys in front of a very, very welcoming crowd. Omega was being coy early, you know, engaging with Danielson, but at the same time being very standoffish, you know, finding the ropes, rolling out of the ring. You know, it was good stuff. You know, he was showing that he really didn't want to do this thing with Danielson, but he was kind of locked into doing it. When the match really got it started, though, Danielson's intensity really kicked up. He did almost all of his WWE stuff. He did his WWE comeback. He did his flying push plancha through the top, through the middle rope. It was very good. He even broke out some favorites, you know, the cattle mutilation, which we haven't seen him do in a long time. So it was good. You know, it was a really good match. It was really solid. Another debate coming out of this match, which I think is a not nearly the same kind of debate. But we'll get to that in a second. I want to talk about some of the moves here because I forgot about something. The buckle bomb, where Danielson seemed to go over the top rope. That was pretty ugly. The Snapdragon on the ramp was very, very safe. I give Kenny Omega credit for that. He took all of that. You know, Omega took that. You know, when he was doing those Snapdragon things, like the Dragon Suplex from the top rope, he was very safe. He was so safe that it had no realism to it at all. He made sure to take care of Bryan Danielson, which is a good thing. I appreciate that. I appreciate a professional, even though he made the match look less than realistic. Because most Kenny Omega matches don't look realistic anyway. The Busaiku knee was countered into a V-trigger, which was pretty interesting. The head stomps into the label lock. Pretty smooth transition. Omega got to the ropes. And the match ends. There's 45 seconds into the match. And they're headbutting each other, slapping each other, chopping each other. There's no sense of urgency whatsoever. There's just throwing strikes, and then the bell rings. And everybody's like, boo. Because, of course, you know, they didn't get a finish. Now, this was the next bone of contention as far as the debate was concerned. Oh, I like that they didn't end it on a hot spot, because that would have been cliche. Or, you know, they left so much left on the table. No, this is absolutely not. See, putting this match on first is a debatable situation. There is absolutely no debate to the fact that you left this match cold at the end. Both men were still standing up when this match was over. How many times have you seen a match on a time limit draw where the match ends hot? The babyface has the heel and the chicken lock or whatever, the chicken wing, and ding 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 ding. He's like, "Oh, I had him. You know, just the Jerry Lynn and Rob Van Dam matches where, you know, Jerry Lynn hits the big spike power driver and then the bell rings. And he's like, man, 5 more minutes. 5 more minutes I could beat this guy. You know, Ric Flair getting away with just the skin of his teeth because the bell rang just as this guy was firing up and hitting his big comeback. WrestleMania 12, you know, Shawn is in the sharpshooter when the bell rings. And Bret's like, well, my job here is done. This is that sometimes things are cliche because they work. Some things are cliche because they work. Not ending this match by showing me that Kenny Omega was beat. Look, is not, you know, metaphysics. You don't have to do 4D chess and subvert, you know, wrestling tropes. You don't have to do that. Just tell the fucking story, man. The story you wanted to go into this match is to see who was the best. And you leave us with the idea that Bryan Danielson is the best, but Kenny Omega just gets away. That's what you want to end with. That's what you want us to believe. If you want us to believe that they're equals, then we ended where we started. We went through 30 minutes of exercise. Not only did we not get a winner, but we didn't even get a visual winner. Which is supposed to be, that's how you get the guy over. You get the guy over by giving him at least a visual win. And a visual win could have been anything. It didn't need to be that Omega was in the label lock for 10 seconds and then, that was it. It could have been he hits the big knee, but before he's crawling to get to the pin and ding, 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 ding. It could have been anything. It could have been 1, 2, ding, 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 right before the 3 count. Anything. He could have put his foot on the ropes. He grabs the ropes just as the bell rings or something like that. Anything that could have given us a visual victory for Daniel Bryan or Bryan Danielson. To hook people to want to see the next match. You cannot assume that everybody who watched this match is going to be willing to pay for the rematch. You can't do that. I know AEW takes their audience, they take their audience very seriously because they're wealthy and highly educated. But there are certain things that work for a reason. When you end the match with both of these guys standing up, there was no benefit to this whatsoever. You had a great match here. You were telling an awesome story here of Omega being out-wrestled. He was being out-fought to a degree. But Danielson is a tough bastard. So even when Omega starts to, get some cheap tactics, he actually starts to take control. He can't keep him down. All of Omega's usual moves that he spams 100 knee strikes, spams 100 snapdragons, none of it was keeping Bryan Danielson down. He kept coming. Great story. You end it with Omega looking like he could have been beaten. That's what you wanted to end the show. Or at least to end this match. You should have wanted people to believe that if he had 5 more minutes, Danielson would have beaten Kenny Omega. That's what you wanted. And they said it on commentary, but this is a visual medium. You have to show me. Show me. Omega should have been on his back looking up at the lights and thanking God for the time limit. And all of Omega's fans should have been like, whew, thank God for that time limit. And all Bryan Danielson's fans would have been like, damn it, time limits. And then you could have had the next match as no limit, And you could have told that story. Now they're going to pretend that they told that story. Me and you, we fought for 30 minutes, toe to toe. Neither one of us won. Like, come on, man. It should have been, Omega, I had you beat. Give me another match. And Omega's like, no, I didn't want to give you the first match. Now you failed to win. Now on Twitter, Kenny Omega said there will be no rematch. He had the match. There will be no rematch. So they were trying to tell the Rocky story, the story of the first Rocky, where Apollo Creed gets in the ring with Rocky Balboa. Rocky absorbs massive amounts of punishment and is still standing at the end. And some people will say, well, that's the story that they were telling. I'm like, Bryan Danielson ain't Rocky, though. He's not. See, the thing that made Rocky work is that Rocky is not on Apollo Creed's level. And you see that through the movie. You see Rocky Balboa is essentially a punching bag for most of the movie. And then out of nowhere, through grit and determination and saying to himself, this is my chance. This is my opportunity. This is never going to happen for me again. I'm going to give the performance of my life. That's what keeps him fighting in Rocky. That's why he's able to go toe-to-toe with Apollo Creed. Because Apollo Creed is not taking him seriously. And Rocky is taking this super seriously. You don't have the grounds to tell that story. Again, your audience is smart. Your audience knows who Bryan Danielson is. He's not Fuego del Sol. You cannot tell that story with Bryan Danielson. It's not going to work. No. So, whatever. We get the Elite Schmaz at the end, which is the super click. Jesus Christ. Triple super kicking Adam Cole. I wish they would have kicked Adam Cole. Adam Cole and the Young Bucks kicked Bryan Danielson. Christian and the Jurassic Express ran out there, to help. The heels fled. It was all well and good. Don Callis looked like he sell coke from Grand Theft Auto. Pink suit, man, what a tremendous suit. All right, this was obviously one of the better matches that AEW has ever put on. Obviously, Bryan Danielson is tremendous. Kenny Omega is a great worker. Not much on personality, but he got the in-ring part done, and he's in there with the right person. What he does is actually pretty good. Danielson was the guy. 100% good. Now I'm going to shit on y'all boy. Y'all boy Phillip. CM Punk. You know what? CM Punk reminds me a lot of Eminem. Like when Eminem came back out during Recovery and everybody was so amped, like, oh my God, it's a new Eminem album. Oh my God. And then they heard it. And then all the hardcore fans had to pretend like it was dope. Had to pretend like it was really good. And they still been doing that stuff. It's been years. And they're still like, Eminem's never, he hasn't fallen off. He still got it. And everybody else is like, yeah, whatever. We're moving on. Everybody's waiting for Slim Shady. What they get is Recovery Eminem. That's how it is with CM Punk. He comes out here cutting these basic ass half energy promos that meander. He had something. He didn't have anything to say again. They put him through a table. He really still didn't have anything to say. This was the promo. He comes out there. How do you follow that? Guys, how do you follow that? I just have no idea how I'm supposed to follow that. And then he just kind of, man, it's been a long time since me and professional wrestling have been here in New York. Again. So he's still talking about pro wrestling, how much he loves pro wrestling. And then he starts talking about Taz and Hobbs. They get booed. He's like, half of you guys are from here and they still don't like you. And then he says that everybody tells me I need to be mad. I need to be angry. But then I come out here and I see all of this love. I see all of these people. And what do I have to be mad about? And I'm just kind of like, I'm looking at my fucking watch. Get to the point. And then it's, they tried to put me through a table. They tried to take all of this from me. No one's ever going to take this from me. I'm like, your boy ain't got no bullets in the gap. He tried to save it at the end. Where he says Hobbs and Taz made a mistake. They should have finished the job. You slept on the legend of CM Punk. But it's not my job to wake you up. It's my job to tuck your ass in. Which, that's a good line. Those were good sentences right there. But it took us forever to get there. And I'm tired of CM Punk. I'm tired of him already. He ain't been back a month yet, has he? Well, he showed up. Yeah, it's been almost exactly a month. Because he showed up, August the 21st? And September 22nd? I mean, man, he's washed. And I just looked at this thing. And I was just kind of like, man, couldn't imagine. Like, he needs to have a chip on his shoulder. Like, he has all the fire in the world when you talk about WWE. When he came out, he started talking about, it's been a long time since I've been in New York. And pro wrestling, obviously, sports entertainment, because WWE was in Madison Square Garden just like 2-3 weeks ago. The venue looked beautiful, by the way. I forgot to mention that. I loved the venue. The venue was great. The Grand Slam venue and everything, it was awesome. It looked very good. And it sounded good, too. But I was just kind of like, I'm trying to make sure it's not just me. And I don't like CM Punk. I don't like him. So I'm trying to say, is it me? Is it my personal bias against CM Punk? That I think that his promos lack content and they lack intensity and they lack fire and they lack everything that made him popular. He even addresses this stuff. They say I need to have they say I need to have a chip on my shoulder. They say I need to be angry. And well, you'll see him eventually. Like, you got a match in fucking 2 days, man. Whatever. Y'all boy sucks. Until he changes this, we need CM Punk. We're watching old ass Phil out there. I don't want to see old ass Phil. I don't want to see CM Punk. So, until he decides to turn it on, keep his ass off screen, please. You know, he can work with whoever he wants. If he doesn't want to come out here and cut fiery, intense promos and make me feel like he means it, I'm talking in kayfabe, not, the bullshit, we are real pro wrestling and this is sports entertainment and, we do this and WWE sucks and yada, yada, yada and all that shit. No, I ain't trying to hear that. I ain't trying to hear it. Cut a real wrestling promo, dog. These dudes dropped you on your head. Who cares about all these people in here? Who cares about pro wrestling being back in New York? None of that should matter. You got a wife. Why not go straight there? Like, I've been out of the ring for a long time. My wife was worried about me. And then I get through the first match. She says, babe, you still got it. I say I'm going to do it again. Some guys then dumped me on my head. Reminded me of that time I got dumped on my head in 2014. The exact same thing that happened that made me quit. And she thought I was going to quit. She thought it was over. And I'm here to tell her and all of you, it ain't. Like, you could have done. I just came up with that off the top of my goddamn head. No editing. I mean, come on. If you was going to mention WWE, you could have done it that way. By mentioning that you were slammed on your head, which was the last thing anybody saw you do in WWE, was get slammed on your head on the table. That's exactly what happened here. Hobbs slammed you on your head on the table. That took 7 years of your career away. That could have, Hobbs could have taken another 7 away. But instead we get, what do I got to be mad about? How do I follow that? Fuck. I'm pretty sure everybody still got a bib around their mouth for these basic ass CM Punk promos. Go to hell, dog. MJF defeated Brian Pillman Jr. with the Salt of the Earth submission hold. They did one thing right here. They didn't start this match with a handshake or a lockup. They started by, a takedown and punches. They didn't look particularly good. Brian Pillman has something, but there's not enough pressure on him, I was thinking about this because everybody's been saying all this time that, the pressure is on for MJF and Brian Pillman Jr. These are young guys who are going to be on the same card with Omega and Bryan Danielson, and they're going to have a hard time getting people interested in what they do. And you know what? That's absolutely right. But the pressure is not. It's not enough pressure. I have a feeling that if you put Bryan Pillman under some real pressure, he's going to show you what he really got. I think the AEW locker room is too lax. And that's what I think CM Punk's problem is. I think that's the problem with Jon Moxley. There's too many guys in there. We're having fun, guys. And it's coming across as guys having fun and taking the piss. But, let's get back to this match. Because I'm insanely frustrated by the CM Punk thing. Let's say a guy cut a promo. He called your mom a meth head. Guy cuts a promo. Said your mom should have swallowed you. Guy cuts a promo, said your dad's in hell. Sucker punches your best friend with a diamond ring and pretty much sends him home packing. Embarrasses you in front of your hometown more than once. And then you damn right, you submit to him. You damn right. Now AEW put themselves in a really weird position because the feud starts in Brian Pillman's hometown, where everybody's got his back. It ends in MJF's hometown, where they done it. They smartly even had his family, like they had his mom bring a sign that says she thinks he sucks too. Of course, she's also posting baby pictures and everything because she's so proud of her little boy. Come on, man. It's not believable. Yes, we saw Mama Friedman with the pick with the MJF sucks, but then if you you go through, you go through her account and it's just like, I'm so proud of my baby boy. He's gonna be wrestling on TV tomorrow. Like you don't really believe that. You don't really believe it. You're just participating in the show. And that's what I mean by the AEW fan base. It's loud, they react, but I don't feel like there's any real emotional investment. I feel like they just go along with the show. They go along with it. Unlike WWE, of course, where when they do shit, they really piss people off. Understand, when Becky Lynch said something about wrestlers need to focus on storytelling and not on flips and Canadian destroyers, all the AEW fans got very, very angry. Oh, what was the story of you beating her in 26 seconds? I'm like, your anger was the story. And they're still telling that story weeks later. Your silly ass think that the entire storytelling, is only in one match. That was the beginning of the story. That's the once upon a time in the story. If you've been watching SmackDown, which, it's the same people watching both shows for the most part, then you know that the story continued after that. Okay? But that concept brought an emotional reaction. People literally sat on their hands for like 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes after that. AEW fans just go along to get along. I don't want to make it seem like I don't love the show, so I'm yelling too. You don't really care who wins and loses. Because the response is pretty much the same regardless. Unless it's something that's a real legit surprise. Then people may get a real reaction. But, how did I get here? Okay, anyway. MJF. They wrestled this match in his hometown. So, he got a win in his hometown. Which is what AEW does, which is why WWE doesn't do this. If you're in somebody's hometown, they win. Which makes the match very predictable. Everybody knew MJF was going to win this match, right? They didn't do a good job of selling that Brian Pillman could win this match. And in fact, Brian Pillman should have won this match. He has looked like an absolute goof this entire feud. He has sat back and let this guy talk about his mom. Talk about his dad, diss his aunt, diss his sister. And he gets put in an armbar and he taps out. Where's his babyface fire? See, again, AEW and their desire to subvert traditional wrestling tropes. And there's no need to. You can't say we're real pro wrestling and then you're going to throw everything pro wrestling in the wood chipper. Because we want to do something different. Like, okay, you can be different. But some things need to still be the same. You need to be similar enough to what we're talking about here. To the genre. MJF winning, not necessarily clean, but MJF winning. Beating a guy after he called his mom a meth head. And winning by submission. Now, if he'd have pulled the tights or something like that, which may have necessitated a rematch in a couple of weeks. All right, cool. But a straight up submission, a almost dominant win, it made Pillman look like a fucking goof. Jericho and Hager talked. Nobody cares. Cody and Malachi Black, man, they're trying their best to ruin Malachi Black. So Malachi Black comes out. He got paint on his face. The paint is over time growing more and more. So that I don't know if it's a visual story that they're telling with Malachi Black, which is a good thing because they're not beating you over the head with it. They're just showing that it went from a little bit of paint before to now it's almost half his face. And it seems like they're trying to say he's becoming more corrupted, or are they saying that he's becoming more infected? Either way, it's a good visual story. Eventually his entire face is going to be covered. Right? How long that's going to take, who knows? But they're doing a good job. I love that visual story with Malachi Black. That said, that's the only thing I loved about this match. The crowd has, the moment real stars showed up, all the stars that everybody was trying to pitch you a year ago, Orange Cassidy, Cody, all these guys, people are just kind of like, ah. People booed Cody out of the building. He comes out wearing a goddamn cape. Get booed out of the building. Brandy comes out. People get a little bit of a pop for Brandy because they haven't seen her in a while. Cody booed out of the building. They hate Cody. Hate him. Good. They botched the hell out of this match. I don't know what they were doing. I don't know what they were trying to do. Some of this stuff made absolutely no sense. The high knee, complete miss. Even my bad eyesight caught that. Arn Anderson was just trying to go around the ring post. He couldn't get around the ring post. He fell down. And the referee was like, what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do? Help me. Cody, help me. So Arn had to he had to get up, and he had to then get back on the ring apron so that Cody can bump him off the ring apron again. No. Oh my God. So then Arn takes a spill. Cody goes back in there, does some little things with Malachi, then comes back out to check on Arn. Arn's like, get back in there. Don't worry about me. Get in there. You know, the melodrama. Cody's trying to add melodrama, and people are not buying it. They think this sucks. This sucks. Cody sucks. This is stupid. But that wasn't even the worst part. The worst part is Malachi Black has the advantage early in the match. And Cody is outside the ring. Brandy gets in the ring and sits Indian style in the ring right in front of Malachi Black. And I'm just sitting there. I'm just looking like, why would you do this? This guy is being positioned as being super dangerous. You know, like he is a wild, you know, he's prickly. He's like barbed wire. You know, if he was really dangerous, you wouldn't really want like Rosario Dawson and Brandy Rose anywhere near this guy. He's dangerous. You know, he could snap. He could kick Brandy. He could do anything. You know, we saw him randomly kick Arn. You know, anything can happen with this guy. But nah, Brandy's just... And then she's playing... Oh, God. She's playing distraction. She's distracting him so Cody can attack him from behind. That's a hell of a babyface move there, Cody. He didn't even try to win the audience over. And that's really what killed me on this. The crowd clearly likes Malachi Black more than Cody. They're over Cody. Cody comes out dressed like Highlander from The Boys. Of course, Highlander is a heel. So I'm guessing that was his point. Or was he thinking that he wanted to be a superhero? He dresses like Captain Crunch every time he comes out now. I don't know, man. I don't get it. The work in the match was okay, but the botching, the BS melodrama, the ref bump almost ruined this thing for me. Cody clearly like waffled the ref by throwing his arm back, hit the ref in the face. The ref sells it, the right thing to do. Malachi Black spits mist. The corruption! He's spitting corruption in the eyes of Cody Rhodes. And then a small package. Not a black mask. You know, a small package. Now, maybe you could say the small package was done to cover Cody's face. Because if he'd hit him with a black mask, the referee would have been able to look right at Cody's face and say, hey, what's up with this stuff? But theoretically, wouldn't that happen anyway? Once after the 3 count, the referee looks down and says, what's all this crap on Cody's face? And like, that dang old Malachi, what did you do? You know, who knows? I don't know. The crowd didn't care as long as Cody lost. The storytelling was very poor. I'm not sure if they were trying to turn Cody or if it was just the fans. I don't know why the fans would cheer, Arn falling off the ring apron and you going out there to be worried about him. What does that have to do with the rest of the match? It didn't factor into the finish at all. Brandy's distraction didn't factor into the finish at all. It didn't factor into anything other than giving Cody an unfair advantage. All the story drama beats that have been going on with Malachi Black have been absolutely botched. It's not good. The guy is great. He looks good. He's got a good character. He's got a good intensity. His speech promos is very good. He's just been mired in this Rhodes shit. He needs to get away from this. Right? Maybe if he feuds with somebody else, literally anybody else, it might be good. But this stuff with Cody and the Nightmare Family ain't been the best work. Okay? I don't even care what happens with Cody next. AEW listens to the audience, so they claim they do. So I'm guessing a Cody heel turn is coming. Then the moment he turns heel, they're probably going to start cheering him again because that's how AEW fans work. I am just floored at that conception. The next match. FTR, dressed like Scott Hall from the new NWO, are defeated by Sting and Darby Allin, in which FTR will be playing the role of billiard balls. That they were both in the ring at the same time so often and so much. I couldn't remember who the legal man was. And then they both were getting beaten up by 60-year-old Sting. I mean, he's just knocking them around. And then there's a point where Darby Allin's just knocking them around. Both of them. I'm like, it's like a Daffy Duck cartoon. It's ridiculous, man. It's like Foghorn Leghorn and that dog. You ever remember that Looney Tunes cartoon with Foghorn Leghorn and he's messing with that dog? And he gets like a 2x4 and starts beating the dog across the head with it, knowing that the dog is on the leash. So he's always one step away from how far the leash can go. And he just goes back. That's how this felt. Like, no matter what FTR did, and they're usually very good. And I'm not saying they didn't do good work here. What I'm saying is the booking of this match was, hey, let's make these guys look really good. Doesn't matter how we look, though. Like this is supposedly the best tag team in the world. They got mollywopped by a midget and a 62-year-old man. Now, let's talk about that. Because Sting did a flying crossbody, and I thought that ruled. Sting debuted in 1985. It's 2021. And he's still got something in the tank. You'll never find that in football. Never find that in basketball. Won't find it in hockey, volleyball, or anything else. That's what makes pro wrestling unique. Is that you can do this as long as you got, heartbeat and people who are willing to help you. You can keep going, and you can do it. Sting owes those guys dinner, right? And he can afford it. He owes FTR dinner. And I'm sure they were very, very happy to bump for Sting. And they're probably very happy to be in the ring with Sting. But, I mean, come on. FTR, like, I know some people have said, as other people notice, like he lost to a 62-year-old man. Well, they haven't lost that many times. They've only lost like 3 times in a year or 2 years, however long they've been there. But it's like, when was the last time they had like a big high-profile victory? Like how sweet would it have been if they could have beat Sting? Like would it have really derailed Darby at all if Sting lost? If Sting got hit with the big rig and got pinned? We could have told a different story with that, and forced Darby to tell a different story. Now it's like, okay, these guys just get beat up. What's next for them? Where do they go from here? They slide down even further from the tag team championship ranks. But inversely, does that mean Sting and Darby Allin are like the number one contenders or something? Are we really going to have Sting and Darby Allin versus the Lucha Brothers for a tag team championship match? I don't know. But Sting looked good here. Dax and Cash sold for him very well. You know that they're big fans, so it was all very special. They even wore his colors. Something to say about, being a little markish, but it ended up being okay. I didn't hate this match. I just wish FTR was treated better, I just wish they had better treatment. Not that it's bad treatment, just I wish they had better treatment. Okay, the main event. Now, some people say, there was not much debate over Ruby and Britt main eventing the show. It was an actual championship match, and they wanted to uphold the sanctity of the championships by, if the men's titles aren't going to be on the main event, then the women's title will be. Okay, I would have thought that if Danielson and Omega is going to start the show, the next hottest thing would be Sting. Having his first match on TNT in 20 years. Well, it's not his first match, so we can't even build that. But I would still think that Sting would have been the main event. I still would have thought that. But, nope, it's Britt Baker and Ruby Soho. So, there that is. So, by this point, the crowd wasn't completely burned out. I'm actually very proud of the crowd. Because I thought they were going to blow their load on Omega and Danielson and be dead for the rest of the show. But they managed to stay somewhat lively. They took MJF and Pillman. They took that off. They basically was kind of like, we're chilling on this. But for everything else, there was enough crowd reaction for it to be lively. It wasn't wild like Omega and Danielson. Like, that was nuts. Because it was the first match on the card. It's what everybody wanted to see. They dumped a lot of their load in there. But the load wasn't completely blown. Now, people were still sitting down. Like, they were enjoying the main event like a golf tournament, Just kind of sitting down like, yeah, this is nice. Okay. Yay, we like these girls. And they weren't standing up like, yeah, like they were for the main event. Anyway, this match was It was a whole bowl of it wasn't bad, but it wasn't great. I like the Pittsburgh plunge. It's an underrated move, man. If you don't know what the Pittsburgh plunge is, think the perfect plex, except for it's a neck breaker. And it was a move I remember seeing, I believe, Shane Douglas do. I know his finisher was the belly-to-belly suplex, but he also used a move called the Pittsburgh plunge. And I was always surprised I didn't see other people doing it. Sometimes they call it, I think, the three-handle family credenza, whatever. I think I saw Saturn use it once or twice. But it's a pretty sweet move. And I saw a pretty sweet fisherman net breaker. That's a good finish, if you ask me. The avalanche air raid crash on the second rope, that joint was stiff. That was a stiff fall, man. Ruby's shoulder ate all of that. The finish was very flat because, again, it was a lot of confusion and run-ins. Reba got into the ring, ended up getting kicked. That allows Jamie Hayter to distract on the other side. She does a thing to Ruby. Britt Baker puts her in the lockjaw. Ruby submits. So, they put themselves in a bad situation here because Ruby is still very new. And it was a situation where either you put the WWE person over or you juice that lemon or you juice that orange. Let's put it like that. I don't want to call her a lemon. I like the girl. Or you juice that orange immediately. And they decided, we're just going to juice the orange, dog. You could have put somebody who had been on the roster for a long time in this match and in this same spot, and it wouldn't have mattered. Just, I don't know. And sometimes I say AEW, when they try to protect people too much, they end up making everybody look silly. You know, this was a match where Jamie and Reba should have been thrown to the back. And then Britt Baker cheats by, foot on the ropes or pulling the tights or something like that. And that's really what it should have been. Britt Baker is very good though. She knows her character. She knows how to find the camera. She knows how to, draw you in. So she's very good at that. She has main event qualities, but we shouldn't just throw them in the main event just cause. That's clearly the Omega Danielson spot. But I can see also, and if I remember correctly, they were taping Rampage after this. I thought Rampage was going to be live. I don't know. I'm an idiot, right? I guess the building is expensive. So they're only going to run that building once. They kept talking about it's going to be 2 nights. I thought, okay, they're going to rent the building twice. But no, they was taping Rampage after that. So the people smartly saved their energy by just kind of sitting down and relaxing here. And they gave the crowd a flat finish instead of a hot finish, which kind of brought it down even more. And I'm guessing probably Punk and Hobbs are going to start Rampage. Maybe that's what they're going to do. Or they're probably going to have it, the Young Bucks start Rampage. But they clearly booked this show. And maybe that's what they were thinking when they put Danielson and Omega on first. And they were saying, we got 4 hours of tapings here. So we're going to put the hot match on first, then have 90 minutes, not 90 minutes, hour and 30 minutes of chill. And then we put another hot match on CM Punk and Hobbs. Then we got another, hour or so of chill. Then we throw, the Young Bucks and Adam Cole out there at them. Which, if they do that would make sense. Still, I would have put Danielson and Omega on first. I mean, in the main event spot. And I would not have CM Punk opening Rampage. It just wouldn't do that. But, I ain't the billionaire. I ain't the Booker of the Year. I ain't the one going around doing the press junket, talking about we're the fastest rising wrestling promotion in the entire world, and we got the best roster since the Attitude Era and all this kind of stuff. I mean, they really overdid it with the promo for this show. I mean, we could do a video just on the promotional material. 90% of it was anti-WWE stuff. Either it was CM Punk talking about anti-WWE stuff, Bryan Danielson even with a little bit of it, even though he did write that beautiful love letter to WWE, which I appreciated. But, even he was like, it was very difficult to change things there. Or he was talking about apples being nature's tree semen or some shit. But a lot of this stuff was New York media buying into, the hype of AEW and really promoting it. I read a couple of those articles, mostly of the Associated Press article that interviewed Tony Khan. It had hyperlinks in it. Guess where you think the hyperlinks were to? Dave Meltzer. So apparently he sent these guys some links to prove his point that we're the number one wrestling company in the 18 to 49 demographic, which is highly valued for advertisers. I'm like, could you solicit advertisers more? Just call people on the phone and say, hey, advertise on my show. The New York media ate it up. They did a ton of promotional stuff for this show. They really went hard. If I had to venture a guess, I would say they would probably do about 1.6, 1.7 million for the show. That's a rough estimate. I would imagine, of course, the high point is going to be the Omega and Danielson match. They're probably going to have like a 2 million people. And then it's going to slough off from there as people start to kind of over time back out of the show. Like I said, if they get less than 2 million, it's kind of an embarrassment, but because they did the biggest match they could possibly do, but then they put that match on first, So I'm gonna bring it down to 1.7 or 1.6. They should do raw numbers. Let's put it like that. They should do raw numbers, which is raw. Raw is like 1.7 or something like that. If they can match Raw's overall numbers, I think they did good. If they do like 1.2 or 1.4, if they get back to what they were at the very beginning, I don't know. If they get like a 0.5, that would be pretty good. In the demo, they get 0.5, that'd be pretty good. If they get like a 0.4, 0.47 or something like that, that'd still be pretty good. If they get like a below a 0.45, I wouldn't be thrilled. But that's just rating stuff, and I don't care about this shit. So I know some people like talking ratings, so I just threw some guesses out there. But let me know what you guys think of this show in the comment section below. Like this video, share this video, subscribe to the channel, donate to the channel. Thank you guys for your time, and I'll talk to you guys later.